Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another StoryCraft. I'm Miss Emily, and I have, as always, a book and a craft to show you guys today. So my book today is called The Busy Beaver, and the craft I'm going to show you when I'm done reading is a beaver. So let's go ahead and get started. This is The Busy Beaver by Nicholas Oldland. The Busy Beaver. There once was a beaver who was so busy that he didn't always think things through. This beaver's carelessness was becoming a problem. His dams leaked, and he always made a mess of the forest. He left trees half chewed, and worse, he felled more than he needed. Perhaps worst of all, the beaver went about his work with so little thought that a tree landed right on top of a bear. And once, he even chewed a moose's leg thinking it was a tree. The beaver was just that careless. It was only a matter of time before something went terribly wrong. Sure enough, one day the beaver was so busy chewing on a tree that he failed to notice it was falling in his direction. The beaver woke up in the hospital with a bent tail, 2 broken limbs, 3 cracked ribs, 4 big bruises, 5 sprained fingers, 6 twisted toes, 7 little cuts, 8 stinging scratches, 9 sore muscles, and 10 nasty slivers. He had spent his entire life chewing, swimming, and building. He had never sat still for a second. Now he could barely even scratch his nose. At first, all the beaver could do was stare at the ceiling. But little by little, he began to heal. With lots of rest, he regained his strength. And before too long, he was trying out a pair of crutches. Eventually, the beaver was able to hobble over to the window. This was the first time he noticed his leaky dam, the mess of trees that he had left half chewed, his friends' bandages, and a family of homeless birds. See the homeless birds down there? He realized he had a lot of work to do. The next day, the beaver embarked on a rigorous rehabilitation program. He got back on his feet, did lots of yoga, and lifted weights. While he was at it, the beaver caught up on some important reading. His book there says Dams 101. And practiced saying, "I'm sorry." Soon enough, he was ready to go home. The beaver's friends were a little worried about his return to the forest, but despite their concerns, the beaver went straight to work. Beaver came back and says, "Hi, guys." And the moose and the bear were running, and the bear says, "Run for your lives!" Oh, the birds are running too. Before the beaver started his first project, he did a full tree inspection, checked to see if there were any animals in harm's way, and carried a frightened caterpillar to safety. Then the beaver went ahead and built the family of homeless birds a new nest. Next, the beaver apologized to his friends for being careless and causing so much damage. He's saying, "Sorry, guys." To show that he meant it, he made the bear a vase for his den. And he built a canoe for the moose. The beaver's final task was to clean up the mess he had made in the forest. He hauled off the trees he had left half chewed, used the broken branches to fix his leaky dam, and planted saplings to replace the trees he had felled. With the forest back in order, everyone was happier, including the beaver. His work done, the beaver got to thinking about what he might do next. He came up with lots of ideas as he got ready for bed that night. Maybe he would take a course on dam building, or start a band and go on tour, or take more naps. The beaver liked this idea best. Being busy doing good work was exhausting. With a yawn, the beaver laid his head down on a soft bed of leaves and fell right to sleep. All that was left for the beaver to do was to dream. The end. What a busy, busy beaver. So my craft today is your own little busy beaver. There he is. Oops, his tail got a little sideways. But there he is. I'm going to show you guys how to make your own little busy beavers. So let me tilt my camera down and let's get started. Alrighty, so for today's craft, I'm going to start off with a toilet paper roll. I bet you guys have some of these around the house. If you don't have one yet, I bet you will have soon. So save your next toilet paper roll for this craft. I have my glue stick, a pair of scissors, a pencil. I have some of my crayons to decorate when I'm done. And I have some brown paper and some white paper. So what I'm going to do is I need to cut out pieces that will make the beaver's tail, his head, his ears, his nose, and his teeth. So to do that, for his tail, what I like to do is take my toilet paper tube so I know how big to make the tail, stick it up on an end, and then just kind of draw from the side where the tail will go, and leave some space because we want a little bit of tab to be able to tuck into the toilet paper tube to help it stay. Okay, so I've got his tail. I like to use something to help me draw circles, so I have this cup. If you guys have something like this to draw a circle, that would be good. If you guys can draw great circles on your own, go ahead and draw those circles. I'm going to make a circle for the face. Oops. And now I need an oval for his nose, which is here. So I'm going to just do an oval. And then I need two smaller ovals for his ears. So I'm just going to do, or actually you can kind of do like horseshoe shapes. So I just did some. So here's the big horseshoe shape for his tail, a circle for his head, an oval for his nose, and then two more horseshoe shapes for ears. My goodness, that's a tongue twister. So the next thing you're going to do is cut everything out. Like I said, leave some space at the end of the tail because we're going to tuck that into, oops, let's go like this. There we go. So now we have his tail. We have a head. There's his head. I'm going to get his nose over here. Oops. There we go, a nose. And then sometimes I find it easier to cut off smaller pieces to cut out some of these smaller ones. And I do like to leave a little bit at the bottom of the ears too, so that I have something to glue behind the head. So cut that out and then leave some extra. Alrighty, so tail, head, nose, ears, and I need one more thing. I need his teeth. So this is where the piece of white paper comes in. I'm just going to cut a little square off, or a little rectangle. And then we're going to use that to make his teeth. If you want to go ahead, I like to kind of look and see how big I made his nose to figure out how wide I want his teeth to be. So I'm going to guess kind of there. And then I'm going to cut this in half again, very, very carefully. So now if I have his teeth, if I'm going to put them behind his nose, once I figure out how far down I want them to be, oops, I can go ahead and cut a little bit off of them as well to shorten them up so that they don't stick out past his nose. So very carefully, I'm going to give a snip. So now I have 2 teeth, a nose, 2 ears, a head, a tail, and a body. So I recommend decorating these pieces before you put them on your beaver. It'll be a lot easier to do that if it's already done. So beavers usually have kind of this crisscross pattern on their tail a little bit. So if you guys, I'm taking a brown crayon. You guys can do whatever color you like. It'd be really neat to see some like psychedelic, colorful beavers. So I'm just kind of making the crisscross pattern. Just like that. And I want to go far enough down that it's going to go behind the toilet paper tube. And it's probably a good idea to have this on another piece of paper. That way if you go off like I just did, you're not going onto your table. So there's my tail. I'm going to take his nose. I liked the beaver in the book, and he has a black nose. So I got out my black crayon and just colored in the brown paper black. I guess you could use the white paper and do this, but I liked the way the black looked on the brown paper. Kind of made it look a little bit more natural maybe to me. I don't know. I kind of like that. So there's his nose. And I'm going to take his head and I'm going to put his nose about where I think I'm going to have it. And then I'm going to take my black crayon. You guys can take whatever color you would like. And I'm going to draw his eyes. There's his eyes. There we go. That's going to be a silly looking beaver. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is actually flip my beaver's head over. I'm going to get my glue, put some glue on the back of his head. And then what I like to do is kind of hold it up so that I can see his face, and then take an ear and stick it on, but then look at it right side up so I can move the ear around and put it where I want it. And then I have the other one that I'm going to do the same thing with. You might get your fingers a little sticky this way. Just make sure you wash your hands when you're done. All right, so there is my beaver head with his 2 ears. I'm going to leave him to dry for a minute, and I'm going to take the beaver's nose, and I'm basically going to do the same thing. I'm going to put some glue on the back, and then I'm going to take my teeth. Let's see, which way do I want it? I want it up like that. So I'm going to take my beaver's teeth, and again, if you want, while the glue is still a little bit wet, you can pick it up and you can kind of move those teeth around a little bit to get them how you want them. And I guess you guys probably can't see the white on the white, but there they are. So now if you want, you can put a little bit more glue here just to make sure that everything sticks. Go ahead and attach his nose and his teeth to his face. And then there we go. So there is my beaver's head. I'm actually going to move his nose down a little bit. I like it when his teeth kind of hang off the bottom of his face. I think that looks kind of funny. So there's my beaver's head. all put together. Here's his tail. So now what you can do, I recommend, especially if you're using a glue stick, put some glue around the edge of your toilet paper tube, and then put some more glue on the back of your beaver's head. Kind of put a good amount on there. It's kind of hard. The glue stick doesn't always want to stick as well as like regular liquid glue. And what you might even want to do is once you have it settled, again, you want to pick it up, kind of move it around to make sure it's where you like it. You might want to even put it upside down and put a little something heavy, kind of heavy on top of it until it dries. Maybe let it sit overnight. That way, that'll help the beaver's face stick, because it's already starting to come off for me. So I'm going to leave him like that, because now I'm going to take the tail and I'm going to fold the tail right along where I stopped, or a little bit above where I stopped the pattern. I'm going to fold it up towards the pattern, because I want the pattern to be towards the front. And I guess actually if you wanted, you could do the same design on the back, so that no matter which way you were looking at it. I recommend maybe trying to put a little bit of glue here. My glue wasn't sticking, as you guys could see. Glue sticks, I don't think really like toilet paper tubes, so maybe you want to try some like white glue instead. But I'm going to take this tab that I folded, put it inside the toilet paper tube, and then press up. Kind of give it a squeeze to make it stick. And then I'm going to fold the tail back up. And he is not sticking at all. Oh my goodness, this guy is being very temperamental. Try a little bit more glue. Try that again. Here's his tail. There we go. I just needed some more glue for his tail. And then here's his head. And there goes his tail again. My goodness. But you guys can see, even though he's not staying together very well, there is my beaver. So be patient with your beaver. Like I said, I think you want to probably use some white liquid glue instead of the glue stick. That would probably stick a little bit better. But here are my two beaver friends. That one back in. There they are. I think those guys are super, super cute. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed. There I am. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have fun making some beavers, and my beaver lost his tail. Oh no. So have fun, guys. I'll see you guys all again next week. Bye-bye.